Right, I have exactly 9 o'clock by my watch, and it's now 9 a.m. on Wednesday, August 13th. It's time for the weekly meeting of the Logansport Board of Works and Safety. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Carol Sue.
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Ron Miller.
Present.
Chris Armstrong.
Here.
Approval of minutes from the August 6, 2014 meeting.
I've read them. I make a motion we approve as presented the minutes from the August 6, 2014 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
None.
Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed on a vote of 3-0. Approval of claims in the amount of $227,059.84.
I've read the claims. I make a motion we approve as presented the claims in the amount of $227,059.84.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
None.
Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Approval of licenses. We have one for consideration today. Todd Perry, doing business as Reed's Electric. Is there anybody here representing Todd or Reed Electric? Hearing none. I would make the motion that we approve the license request of Todd Perry, doing business as Reed's Electric.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Are there any changes to the agenda? No. Visitor comments? None. There's no old business for consideration today. Under new business, request for a city street closure, Cass County YMCA. Stacy Lodds. This is standard, normal operating procedure. We do this every year. Two Rivers on Two Wheels bike tour to be held on September 13th from 8:30 to 4. Everything appears to be in order. There are representatives from the Cass County Family YMCA present with us today if you have any questions.
I want to know why she's hanging around with him. Diminishes the credibility of their request.
Do you have anything to say? Do you have any defense for yourself before we pass judgment? Okay. All right. All right. I make a motion that we approve the request as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. I'm sorry? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Under reports, it's the second Wednesday of the month, and first up would be first up is Code Enforcement Officer George Franklin. Yeah, come on, George.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You have in front of you my weekly report for your review. Under notices to appear, I have 4 notices to appear. First one will be Annabelle Jerez. I would ask for a 2-week continuance on that one. She did come in and talk to me. Language barrier, I'm not sure that she totally understood what she needed to do, but I would ask for 2 weeks on that.
I make a motion that we give a 2-week extension to 505.
Can I change that? I will actually be on vacation that week. Can we go to a 3-week extension?
I make a motion that we give a 3-week extension to 505 21st Street, which will bring it back.
September 3rd, I believe.
Thank you. September 3rd.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there anybody here representing Annabelle Juarez? Hearing none. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? The motion is to extend or take this under advisement until September 3rd. It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0.
Next on the list is Jeff Murray, 1931 Spear Street. I would respectfully request a cleanup on this. It'll be a simple cleanup. It's 2 piles of brush, limbs, branches in the middle of the backyard. They don't move them to mow. You can see from the picture the grass is tall around them. I think we're all familiar with this property owner.
Is anybody living there?
It's somebody new every week, so
But someone is cutting the grass or just mowing around the...
someone is mowing the grass and mowing around the branches, yes.
Is this one that's being managed by Schwerin Realty?
No.
Okay. I make the motion we approve the property cleanup at 1931 Spear Street.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? None? Is there anybody here representing 1931 Spear Street? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, passes on a vote of 3-0.
Next is 1320 Liberty Street. I'd like to skip that one and come back to it in just a minute. The last one is Rosalie Ortez at 839 State Street. That one has been resolved. Now, with Mickey Smith at 1320 Liberty Street, this has definitely became a huge problem, as Dan will testify to, also I'm sure as will Chris. This is the file on the last cleanup that we did December of 2013. There were, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, 5 dump truckloads of trash and debris that we hauled away from there. That was not the first time that we cleaned up that property in 2013. However, the ordinance states that within the past 12 months. So going back in the past 12 months, we have had 6 violations on this property right here, including this time in December. We have cleaned the property 3 times. It's becoming a drain on Dan, a stress on his men. The one in December, we had 5 or 6 guys over there, plus Chris and myself and Dan. I have discussed this. I would respectfully request, we have got an outstanding cleanup on him right now. You can see from the picture, there's tires in his backyard. All he did with the tires were just move them from one side of the yard to the other. Like I said, it's becoming...
Are the tires what's currently there? Is the mattress gone?
The mattress is gone.
Is that a result of our cleanup? The mattress
Yes.
being removed? Okay.
Yes. I would respectfully request that we place him and consider him to be a repeat offender. And I do this in order, request this in order that we can increase the fines that we charge him. The ordinance states that we can charge up to $5,000. I would leave it up to the board's discretion as to what we increase the fine on this property to, but something needs to be done with this property.
Photograph that's dated July 21st, 2014, is that accurately portrayed what the yard looks like now? Is it worse
Yes.
than that? It still has the tires there?
It still has the tires in it, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Code enforcement officer called me yesterday to alert me to this situation, so I was able to print out ordinance 2013-19, which is the ordinance that dictates what a repeat offender is and what the penalties will be. It says in section 10, whoever violates the terms of this ordinance within a 12-month period of their last violation will be considered a repeat offender. Any property owner who becomes a repeat offender of this ordinance could be fined an administrative cost of $100, a minimum fine of $200 up to $5,000, plus a minimum fee of $500 per hour, any disposal costs incurred by the city, and a minimum charge of $200 for use of any city equipment owned or leased by the Board of Works. And so that's the ranges that are available. It's up to the discretion of the board to do that, and if so, what fine you want to levy.
Okay, thank you. I can't recall the city ever actually imposing a fine, but this is definitely an ongoing situation over there. It's gotten worse. It doesn't get better.
Your Honor, every time we do a cleanup, there's a fine. It's a progressive fine. It starts at 50, 100, and 250 is what my office has always done. I am aware of at least one case in the past administration where they levied the maximum $5,000 fine against a property owner.
Do you have information available that would tell, has he paid the fines that we've levied in the past?
I
Has he?
don't know that.
Has he paid any of the other costs of disposal, removal, any of the other levies that we placed on them? Whether we charge a fee when the Department of Public Works does a property cleanup. I know there's disposal costs involved in that. We have to haul it to the dump. We haul it someplace. That's $75 a load or in that range. And I do see the invoices that cross my desk from time to time. Do you know if there is an amount of outstanding liens on the property?
I'm sure there's an outstanding lien, outstanding debt on the property, but I don't know the current amount.
Okay.
And does he own this 1320?
Yes. He is the property owner of record. If you look at the 39 degrees north paper, the one that's got the picture of the overview of the property, it lists Mickey Smith as the owner and the resident.
I think we can, and I was going to head down this subject.
I would like to add one thing, that he's currently out on bail for manufacturing meth. And
Okay.
Chief Clerk, can you put any light into that? Was when he was arrested for that, was he
Okay.
manufacturing at that house, at his residence?
Okay.
So
I want to stick with the subject at hand. We have before us consideration of a property cleanup, and this particular address does pass before the Board of Works for consideration on a regular basis. And I tend to agree with you that it's time to step up the enforcement and step up the fines and penalties. I think we could impose a $25,000 fine and it's not going to have any impact. He's still going to ignore it. But what I would like to do is have 1 week for further investigation to, number one, see if he has paid any of the additional charges that we've imposed on that property and over the last, no matter how far back it goes. Let's see how many liens currently exist on the property, if there are any fines on it, and you report to us next week what that is. And I'm fully prepared to offer before the Board of Works for their consideration a fine that would be somewhere in that range between, I think you said $200,000 and $5,000, Randy?
Yes.
Between $200,000 and $5,000. I certainly don't have a problem with that, but I would like to know exactly where it stands right now, and to be able to have the opportunity to investigate this just a little bit more. But I see where you're coming from. I just think that I want to make sure that we're doing this exactly the right way so that there's no question about our authority and the parameters, what we can impose and what we can't impose.
There's also the option of there's an administrative cost of $100 and then a minimum fee of $500 per hour for a cleanup and a $200 charge for use of city equipment.
Right. So with all those options, I agree with you, but I just want a little bit more time to be able to dial those costs in and to just do the history and the background on the property, the individual, and to make sure that we're doing this the right way. So I would make the motion that we take this one, 1320 Liberty Street, under advisement for 1 more week. That would be until Wednesday, August 20th.
Second?
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Is there anybody here representing 1320 Liberty Street or Mickey Smith? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Pass it on a vote of 3-0. Thank you, George. Track that down for us if you can, the amount of liens that are current on that property, and if there's any other properties that are associated with this individual, if there's other liens. I think we just need to build the entire case and know exactly what we're talking about.
All right.
Okay, I would make the motion that we accept the report of the code enforcement officer as presented. It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Any more questions for code enforcement?
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Superintendent of Public Works. Hi, Dan.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Good morning again to everyone. I respectfully submit my report for the Public Works Department for the City of Logansport, which includes the Street Department and Mount Hope Cemetery. Hopefully you have time to thumb through it, and I'll try to answer any questions.
I notice you've been busy up on this sidewalk area in front of, I believe it's still called Cass County Tire.
Yes.
And took care of some weeds out there. Thank you for that. I've noticed the spray painting of the curbs. Thank you for that as well.
Shows up, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Do you have any, your first article on here, crack sealing several streets, I've also noticed that. I know how important that is. It's something we're trying to get off the ground. I think it's been a while since that's been done, maybe 8 years or so. Do you have any idea how many miles of street you've already sealed? And you, I know you're being caught flat-footed on that question.
I can tell you right at probably between 50 and 60 in that area. And how I can come up with that number, what we're doing is crack sealing the newest pavement ones, because a year after we pave them, they start cracking. So I attended a thing in seminar in LaPorte. They recommended this highly. I come back and I was going to buy a crack sealer, and I found out that we have one. It was back in the back, and the one was broke, so I decided that we're going to start using it again, and it's a good system. Yeah, and
it's interesting, just as a sidebar here, that the process is to crack seal your best streets first instead of your worst streets. And when you talk to the experts, and I have just recently, that's what they recommend, and it makes so much sense after they explain to you the reasoning behind that. So I have no further questions for Superintendent of Public Works. If there's no further questions, I would propose that we accept the report from the Department of Public Works as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? None. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Police Chief and Fire Chief are next week. Parks Administrator. Hi, Jan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is the pool drained now?
Yes.
All the way down? Does it go all the way? Do you leave the valve open so the rainwater runs down and exits? Yeah. It's been a long time. Actually dove that pool as a scuba diver for a repair, but it's been a number of years ago, and I've really forgotten a lot about it.
A couple of questions for you, Jan. Just a little thing, but I noticed that there were some tires picked up out of the river. Is that just tires that washed downstream? Or?
I don't know. It was part of it. I don't know where they came from, but when they dug up the causeway from the construction of the bridge, they were there. So I don't know why they were there, but
Okay. A lot?
there's just 2 or 3.
Okay.
So it went a lot, but it didn't look good, that's for sure.
And if you would shed a little light on, under master plan, making contacts for income survey, would you just explain briefly what the income survey is and why it's important to do?
Well, in order to pursue a grant with Office of Community and Rural Affairs, they call that OCRA. You have to provide an income survey that shows that our community is 51% moderate to low income. And the last one that was done, I think, was like 2008, maybe 2010, but they're only good for a couple of years, and then you have to update them. So I'm trying to work with the guy that LMU used when they did the Yorktown sewer project, Yorktown Road sewer project, and they, and this man's just not very responsive right now. I don't know if it's because they're out of school or what, but I haven't got as big a response as I need from him. So,
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
but that's part of what we got to have before we can actually make our application to OCRA for the master plan.
So you haven't contracted with a planning firm yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Do you have specs for that master plan, the issues that you wish to address?
Part of the idea of the master plan is that you are getting feedback from the community, and that feedback is what drives the points that you address. So I'm not sure, I know we want to talk about some of the things that concern you, is
Right.
the extra parks or the extra land that we have to deal with. And
Right.
I know that's one of the issues that we will address, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And the pool is definitely one of those things that we need to address.
Right.
And, where, how these properties are going to get taken care of. So.
Right, okay. That was one of the questions I had regarding the master plan. And do you know the time frame to turn around the master plan? I mean, it's usually 6 months or so.
It usually takes 6 months to a year usually.
Uh-huh.
Just depends on how quickly your consultants work with you and how
Yeah.
much, because we have a certain element of work to do in that as well.
Right, and the
So-
firm has not been selected yet then?
Mhm.
Okay. And
We do need to make that selection, I think at the same time you make the application, so then when they say yes, then you're ready to go, they have an
Right.
idea about who you're going to select. so.
Right. Okay. I have one question regarding 3 other projects, paving, lights, and flagpoles. Where do those stand?
I'm still, we're getting things ready for Dykeman Excavating to start the paving, or to start the excavation work that has to be done. I've talked with Central Paving several times here in the last couple of weeks, and I know they're working on getting that scheduled, but they haven't scheduled it yet.
Central still hasn't scheduled it?
It's primarily because it'll be a one-day job,
Uh-huh.
and he feels like if he can squeeze it in between other jobs, he will.
Uh-huh.
So he doesn't actually have it scheduled. I think he knows it's got to be done, but the Dykeman's got to get their part done first. So
Okay.
hopefully
And-
they're going to get working on that.
Do you have a diagram planned for what the end product's going to look like?
No, but I'll try to have that shortly.
Okay.
I had one and I gave it to somebody and I never got it back, and I didn't have,
You think I could get a copy of that sometime soon?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate seeing that.
Sure.
Schedule for the, now that Babe Ruth League or Babe Ruth season is over, the lights, I understand there was some,
They're-
light bulbs were changed, but there's some ballasts that may be bad.
Yeah, and I've spoken with the youth league, the baseball league's president, and he's already working on it. He's worked with Thistle and to get scheduled to find out which one of those other lamps are bad. And
Okay. Do you have any idea when that's going to be? I mean, it seems like we're going to be in the middle of December, and we've
Well, I'm
already
looking-
missed this baseball season.
I'm looking to get through this pretty soon. I don't want it to go that long either. So
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm watching that with great intent. It's just puzzling to me that we're all the way through the baseball season. We're more than halfway through the construction season. The paving hasn't started. It's not even scheduled yet. The lights, the bulbs have been changed, but the ballasts haven't been addressed whatsoever. I know LMU has the bucket truck now and has offered to make that available as a courtesy. I don't want to speak for the fire department. They also have a 106-foot platform now. I think it would reach it as well.
Sure.
And it sounds like we need the equipment. LMU has expressed to me that they're happy to perform the service. We just need to buy the ballast. I'm not sure that we need to include the baseball league since we provided the funding. I forget
And
if-
I told Brandon that. I asked him to have Thistle call me, and we'll get working on that. So.
Okay. And that's part of what's confusing to me, though. If we have LMU that says that they're willing to help and willing to perform the service, I don't know why we would involve Thistle at all. It seems like it's something we
Thistle
could...
is the ones that'll, I guess I don't know. They've been working with them, that's all. So.
And then last, flagpoles.
I got my quotes from a contractor to help me with the ones because of the electricity for lighting that's going to be needed. So I'm working on getting those approved by the park board, and we'll move forward on those.
Okay, is that for consideration at tonight's Parks Board meeting?
Yeah, I'm going to share that information with them tonight, yeah.
Okay, do you have any idea when they will act on that?
I'm going to get started as soon as I get the go-ahead.
Well, is it up for consideration tonight? Will they vote on flagpoles tonight?
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure we're nailing that down. Okay, I'm just watching that again with great interest. It's been mentioned several times. I know we put it in the 2014 budget. City Council has asked me about it several times. I'm sure they've asked you about it too. And it is something that I promised I would follow up on, and now I've done it. I will, please keep me updated, and I'll probably ask you again in a couple weeks where we're at. That's going to be August. Yeah, okay. I will follow up with you on that in the near future and hopefully have some answers as we're going through the budget process this year. We're going to track that. So I would make a motion that we approve the Parks Administrator's report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, pass on a vote of 3-0. Thank you, Jan. Are there any board member comments?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just going to give an update. Several weeks ago, we approved to close the sidewalk in front of All Saints. And I just got an email this morning that they are going to close it next week, and the construction work should start by the end of next week, weather permitting. So I just wanted to update you on that.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? Miscellaneous business, including ADA Section 504 compliance or concerns or any other matters not already considered? Hearing none, we entertain a motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.